The myth awakens. High Commander Vexus of the Galactic Assembly stood at the observation deck of his command ship, the Eternal Vigilance. His 4 violet eyes blinked in sequence as he stared at the holographic display, showing anomalous energy readings from Sector 17, a region officially designated as uninhabitable due to stellar radiation. "These readings make no sense," Vexus muttered, his scaled fingers manipulating the display. "This sector has been dead for millennia." His second-in-command, Science Officer Lyra, approached with evident discomfort. Her normally blue skin had paled to a sickly azure. "High Commander, I've analyzed the signature. It's impossible, but it matches the theoretical patterns described in the Forbidden Archives." Vexus's head crests flared with alarm. The Forbidden Archives were sealed for a reason. They contained information too dangerous for common knowledge. "Explain," he demanded. "The signature matches descriptions of ancient human technology," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. Vexus froze. The word human was rarely spoken aloud. Most species in the assembly believed humans were merely legends, cautionary tales told to younglings about a violent, unpredictable species that had destroyed themselves in a spectacular civil war thousands of years ago. But the highest echelons of the assembly knew different. They knew the truth had been deliberately obscured. "That's impossible," Vexus said firmly. The human extinction was confirmed by the founders. Their homeworld was reduced to ash. "Yet the signature is unmistakable," Lyra insisted. "And there's more." She hesitated, her gill slits fluttering with anxiety. "The signal appears to be from a ship using modified fold space technology. Technology that was supposedly theoretical until 50 cycles ago when we developed it." Vexus felt cold dread seep through his exoskeleton. If humans had survived and developed fold space technology independently, everything the Assembly had built could be threatened. "Dispatch a scout ship. No official communication. No records. I want visual confirmation before we take this to the Council." 3 days later, the scout ship returned. Its captain, a veteran Zentari named Krell, looked shaken as he delivered his report in Vexus's private chambers. "It's true, High Commander. We found a ship of unknown design at the coordinates. When we approached under stealth protocols, they detected us immediately." Krell's antennae twitched with residual fear. "Technology far beyond our stealth capabilities." "Did you make contact?" "No, but they scanned us thoroughly. Then they transmitted a single message in perfect assembly standard." "What was the message?" Vexus asked, dreading the answer. "Tell your masters the children of Earth have returned. The lie ends now." Vexus dismissed Krell and immediately contacted the Inner Council, the 12 eldest members of the Assembly who held the truth about humanity's fate. Elder Zorn, the ancient Dracovian who had led the Council for centuries, appeared on the secure channel. His wrinkled face showed immediate concern. "You've found something troubling, Commander. Humans, Elder. They've survived. They have fold space technology and know about the arrangement." Zorn's expression darkened. "Impossible. The purge was thorough. Earth was sterilized." "Evidently not thorough enough," Vexus countered. "What are my orders?" After a long pause, Zorn replied, "Bring them in. Quietly. We need to know how many survived, and what they know." 2 weeks later, Vexus's command ship rendezvoused with the human vessel at the edge of an uninhabited system. The human ship was sleek and angular, unlike the organic curves favored by assembly design. It was smaller than the Eternal Vigilance, but bristled with unfamiliar technology. "They're hailing us," his communications officer reported. "On screen," Vexus ordered, straightening his posture. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a face that sent ripples of shock through the command bridge. The human looked remarkably ordinary. 2 eyes, a single mouth, brownish skin. Yet everyone present knew they were looking at a supposedly extinct species, a Bujiman from ancient history. "I am Captain Maya Chen of the Earth Ship Defiance," the human said calmly. "We've waited a long time for this meeting. High Commander Vexus. Vexus concealed his surprise at hearing his name. How do you know who I am? A slight smile crossed the human's face. We've been watching the assembly for decades. You'd be surprised what your people say when they think no one's listening. The official position of the Galactic Assembly is that humanity destroyed itself in a civil war 5,000 years ago, Vexus stated carefully. And unofficially? Captain Chen asked, her dark eyes sharp and knowing. Unofficially, I'm authorized to bring you to Assembly Space for discussion. A discussion with the people who tried to eradicate us. That would be unwise without certain guarantees. Vexus felt the situation slipping from his control. You mistake the situation, Captain. This isn't a negotiation. Chen's smile widened. With respect, Commander, it is. She gestured to someone off-screen, and the view screen split to show tactical displays of assembly space. Highlighted within were dozens of unknown signatures, ships hidden throughout assembly territories. We have 50 vessels deployed throughout your systems, ships your sensors can't detect. We're not here to fight, but we are prepared to defend ourselves. Vexus felt the blood drain from his face. If humans had this kind of stealth technology and had infiltrated assembly space undetected, they held all the leverage. What do you want? He asked, abandoning protocol. The truth, Chen replied simply. Public acknowledgement of what really happened to Earth, recognition of humanity's right to exist, and a seat at the assembly. The Council will never agree. They will, Chen interrupted, when they understand the alternative, and when they learn what's coming. What do you mean, what's coming? Chen's expression turned grave. The reason your founders tried to wipe us out, the reason they feared us so much they attempted genocide. The ancient enemy is returning, Commander. The ones you call the Devourers. And humans are the only species that ever successfully fought them off. Vexus felt his world tilting on its axis. The Devourers were another myth, a horror story, a cosmic predator that supposedly consumed entire civilizations before the assembly existed. That's impossible, he whispered. Check your deep space monitoring stations in the outer arm, Chen said. You've been detecting anomalies for the past decade, but dismissing them as sensor ghosts. Almost against his will, Vexus gestured to his science officer. Lyra quickly pulled up the classified reports, her hands trembling. She's right, Commander. The pattern matches historical descriptions of Devourer approach vectors. Captain Chen's expression softened slightly. We don't want revenge, Commander. We want survival, yours and ours. Take us to your council. It's time for the galaxy to remember why they feared humans in the first place, and why they're going to need us. The command bridge fell silent as Vexus contemplated his options. Finally, he nodded slowly. Very well, Captain Chen, but I warn you, 5,000 years of lies won't be undone easily. Nothing worthwhile ever is, Commander, Chen replied. Humanity is patient. We've had 5 millennia to perfect that virtue. As the transmission ended, Vexus stared at the human ship through the view screen. In that moment, he understood why the founders had tried to erase humanity from history. They were terrifying not for their violence, but for their resilience. And now the galaxy would have to face the consequences of its greatest deception. The Forgotten Empire rises. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Assembly hadn't been this tense in living memory. All 27 species representatives sat in tiered seating around the central platform, where Captain Maya Chen stood alone, unflinching under the cold scrutiny of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Elder Zorn's ancient voice echoed through the chamber. This meeting violates numerous protocols. High Commander Vexus had no authority to bring this individual here. This individual represents a species your predecessors attempted to exterminate, Chen replied, her voice carrying easily through the vast space. I think that warrants breaking a few protocols. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Most counselors were hearing the truth for the first time, that humans hadn't destroyed themselves but had been targeted for extinction by the early assembly. "These are serious accusations," said Councillor Thrix of the Valerian Confederacy, her translucent wings fluttering with agitation. "Where is your evidence?" Chen nodded to someone at the back of the chamber. A second human stepped forward, taller than Chen, with darker skin and penetrating eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Dr. Elijah Okonkwo, chief historian of the Earth Remnant. He introduced himself. "Our evidence comes from your own archives." With a gesture, he activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. Ancient recordings sprang to life. Footage showing planets burning, fleets engaging in desperate battles, and finally, a devastating attack on a blue-green world, Earth. This footage was recovered from the sealed archives beneath this very chamber, Dr. Okonkwo explained. 5,000 years ago, the early assembly encountered something that terrified them. Humans who had just begun venturing into space. Not because we were powerful, we weren't, but because we were uniquely adaptable. The display shifted to show genetic structures. Human DNA contains more potential for adaptation than any sentient species you've encountered. We evolve rapidly under pressure. We learn at rates that seemed impossible to your ancestors. Elder Zorn slammed his gnarled hand down. "This is classified information. How did you access these archives?" Captain Chen smiled thinly. "We've had operatives within the assembly for generations. Elder, your species may live for centuries, but institutional memory fades. Security protocols grow lax, and humans are very, very patient." The chamber erupted in shouts and accusations until Vexus stepped forward, raising his hands for silence. "There's more," he said grimly. "Show them what you showed me, Captain." Chen nodded to Dr. Okonkwo, who changed the display again. Now it showed deep space readings, strange energy signatures at the edge of the galaxy, moving slowly but deliberately inward. "The Devourers," Chen said simply. The chamber went deathly quiet. "Another myth," scoffed Councillor Grax of the Methuselah Consortium. "Next you'll speak of the Star Eaters and Soul Stealers." "The myths exist because the truth was too frightening," Dr. Okonkwo countered. "The Devourers are real. They come every 10,000 years to harvest advanced civilizations. Your ancestors knew this because they found evidence of previous cycles. Entire galactic civilizations wiped out, leaving only ruins." He changed the display again, showing archaeological sites familiar to every educated member of the assembly. The mysterious dead worlds that dotted the galaxy, stripped of all adaptive shielding, Commander Singh explained, learns from each attack. The Prometheus launched several of the small metal spheres toward the Devourer ship. Upon contact, the massive alien vessel began to convulse, its coordinated movements becoming erratic. "The quantum disruption is breaking their hive-mind connection," Singh narrated. "Without it, they're just animals, acting on instinct rather than intelligence." The Assembly Defense Forces, following instructions hastily provided by the humans, moved in to finish the disabled Devourer ship. What had seemed an invincible enemy fell in less than 30 minutes. The council chamber was silent in the aftermath, every representative staring at Captain Chen with new understanding. "That was one scout ship," Chen said quietly. "Our projections show the main Devourer fleet will arrive within 5 years. Thousands of ships, each carrying enough firepower to sterilize a planet." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. "You tried to erase us because you feared our potential. Now you need that potential. We don't want apologies for the past. We want alliance for the future. Either we face this together, with human ingenuity alongside assembly resources, or we all become another layer of ruins for the next civilization to discover." Elder Zorn slowly rose from his seat, his ancient body trembling not with age, but with the weight of history. 5,000 years ago, the Assembly made a choice born of fear, he said, his voice carrying the gravity of millennia. Today, we face the consequences of that choice. And today, we must make a new one. He gestured toward Captain Chen. The Assembly formally recognizes humanity as an extant species with all rights therein. We acknowledge the crimes of our past and commit to partnership for our shared future. One by one, the council members stood, some reluctantly, others with newfound respect, to signal their agreement. As the historic session concluded, Vexus approached Captain Chen privately. "Your people had every reason to let us face extinction. Why risk yourselves for those who tried to destroy you?" Chen looked at him with eyes that carried the weight of her species' long struggle for survival. "Because that's what humans do, Commander. We don't just survive. We ensure survival. Not just for ourselves, but for all who share our fate among the stars." She smiled slightly. "Your ancestors were right to fear us, but they feared the wrong thing. They feared our capacity for violence when they should have feared our capacity for forgiveness." As word spread throughout the Assembly territories that the myths were true, that humans lived and had returned, the galaxy braced for the coming storm. But for the first time in millennia, they faced it not with dread, but with hope. Humanity had returned from extinction, and the stars themselves would never be the same.